Hey Reddit. I'm here because I'm completely lost and I need some advice. I've been with my wife, Lauren, for almost 9 years. We don't have kids yet, but we've talked about it in the past. We've had our ups and downs, like any marriage, but I thought we were in a good place. Over the past few months, though, something just didn't feel right. To give some context, I work in sales and travel a lot for work, but Lauren has been working from home for a while now. A few weeks ago, she told me that she had to go out of town for a work trip. She works as a project manager for a small company, and while I trust her work ethic, I've always found her career to be a bit vague when it comes to details. She never talks about the specifics, and when I try to ask more about her day or how the trip is going, she tends to change the subject or gives me very brief answers. I figured it was just me being paranoid, or maybe it's because of my own travel schedule that I don't understand what it's like to juggle things at home. But then, things started to feel off. A few days before her supposed work trip, she seemed distant. There was a lot of tension between us, even during the few moments we spent together. She was texting a lot, mostly on her phone, but every time I would glance at it, she'd quickly lock it. I didn't think much of it at first, but then I noticed that she started to avoid eye contact more frequently. When we did talk, her answers seemed more rehearsed, like she was just going through the motions. I had a gut feeling that something was going on, but I didn't know what. A week before her trip, I had a work event in the same city she was headed to. I don't normally travel to that city, but this time, I had a meeting lined up with a big client. I didn't think anything of it at first, but as the day of her trip approached, something just felt wrong. I didn't mention it to Lauren, but in the back of my mind, I began to wonder if this was the perfect chance for me to find out the truth. Was she really going on a work trip? Or was there something else going on? So I did something I now regret, but in the heat of the moment, I felt like I had to know. I decided to follow her. I didn't tell her. I didn't think it would be right to outright ask her if she was seeing someone else, so I decided to take a more covert approach. I knew where her flight was booked, and I knew she was going to stay at a hotel near downtown for the week. I had a work event, like I said, but I planned to arrive a day earlier. I figured I'd get to the hotel, figure out if there was anything strange going on, and hopefully get the clarity I needed without confronting her directly. The flight was uneventful, and I checked into my hotel. My heart was pounding as I tried to gather the courage to see if Lauren was really where she said she was going to be. I stayed back, didn't text her, and waited until I thought it would be the right time to go to the hotel where she was supposed to be staying. That night, I went to the bar in the hotel lobby, not sure if I should just leave and forget everything or if I should keep going. I still wasn't sure I was doing the right thing. But then, everything changed. I saw her. As I sat in the hotel bar, nursing my drink, I didn't expect to see her so soon. I had imagined watching from a distance, maybe even waiting until the next day to do anything. But there she was, standing in the lobby, talking to someone I didn't recognize. She was laughing, a real, genuine laugh. It caught me off guard. I hadn't heard that kind of laughter in weeks. My heart started racing, and I tried to calm myself down, reminding myself that I was here to gather information, not act on impulse. I watched them talk for a minute before I realized that this guy wasn't just a casual acquaintance. No, they were way too comfortable with each other. Lauren's body language was completely different from how she usually behaves when we're in public together. She was leaning in, her hand on his arm. They were standing close. Too close. It was clear they had an intimate connection, and I had a sinking feeling in my stomach that I didn't want to acknowledge. I kept telling myself I was overreacting, that maybe it was just a colleague or a friend of hers from work. But then, as they both walked toward the elevator, the guy placed his hand on her lower back. I could barely hear their conversation, but I did catch her saying, "I'm so glad we got to do this. I missed you." That was it. The words hit me like a punch in the gut. I missed you. What the hell was that supposed to mean? I couldn't sit there anymore. I didn't know what to do, but I knew I couldn't just sit back and pretend like I didn't see anything. I needed to follow them. I needed answers, even if it meant putting myself in an uncomfortable situation. I had no idea what I was about to walk into, but I knew I couldn't turn back now. I followed them discreetly, staying a few steps behind as they walked down the hallway toward the rooms. I tried to keep my breathing steady, but my heart was pounding so loudly that I felt like everyone could hear it. As I reached the corner of the hallway, I stopped to watch them. They stopped in front of a room, room 403, if I could read the door correctly. Then something happened that I wasn't prepared for. They shared a kiss. Not just a peck on the cheek or a quick, friendly kiss, but a real kiss. They wrapped their arms around each other, and it was clear that this wasn't a simple fling. They had a connection, an emotional intimacy that made my stomach turn. I couldn't believe it. My mind was racing, and I could barely process what I was seeing. As the kiss ended, they stepped inside the room. I felt like I couldn't breathe, like the walls were closing in on me. I didn't know whether to confront her right then and there, or just run away from it all. My mind was a whirlwind of emotions: disbelief, anger, betrayal, confusion. I felt like my whole world had just been turned upside down. I stood there, frozen for a few minutes, trying to collect my thoughts. I didn't know what to do next. Confronting her now would only make things worse. But I couldn't just leave it alone. I needed to know more. I had to figure out how deep this went. I walked back to my room, but it felt like I was in a daze, like I wasn't even walking on the same floor as everyone else. I kept replaying the kiss in my head, the intimacy they had shared, the connection that I never even knew existed between them. When I got back to my hotel room, I sat down on the bed and pulled out my phone. I didn't know why, but I couldn't stop myself. I checked Lauren's social media account, something I never did before, but I had to. I had to know if there was more. And that's when I saw it. She had posted pictures of herself with him. Their smiles were so genuine, so intimate. It wasn't just a one-time thing. It was clear that they had been seeing each other for a while. I wanted to cry, scream, anything to release the pain I was feeling. But I just sat there, staring at the screen, completely numb. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. This wasn't just a mistake. This wasn't some random fling. My wife had been seeing someone else behind my back, and I was completely in the dark. I don't know how long I sat there in that hotel room after finding the photos and watching Lauren with him. My phone was still in my hand, but it felt like it wasn't even real, like I was watching a scene from a movie I had no part in. My mind was spinning, trying to process everything that had happened. I didn't know if I should confront her now, wait until she came back, or just pack my things and leave without saying a word. But I knew one thing for sure. I couldn't just pretend everything was fine anymore. This wasn't just some mistake or misunderstanding. She had been lying to me, hiding something huge, and I couldn't just let it go without facing it. I debated whether to go to the hotel bar and try to drink away my emotions, but I knew that wasn't the answer. Instead, I did the one thing I thought would help me get some clarity. I called my best friend, Ben. He was the one person who knew everything about my relationship with Lauren, and I knew he would tell me the truth, even if it hurt. I didn't want to do this alone. "Ben, I need you," I said when he answered the phone. My voice was shaking, and I could barely get the words out. "Ethan, what's going on?" he asked, immediately hearing the panic in my voice. "Where are you?" I followed Lauren to the hotel. I thought it was just some business trip, but, "Ben, she's been seeing someone else. I saw it with my own eyes. She kissed him. They've been together for months. I don't know what to do." I could hear him take a deep breath on the other end. "Ethan, I'm so sorry, man. I can't even imagine how you're feeling right now. But you have to talk to her. You can't just let this fester inside you. You need to confront her about it." "I know," I whispered, "but I don't know if I can handle it. I don't know if I'm strong enough for this. I thought I knew her. I thought we were happy. How could she do this to me?" Ben was quiet for a moment, and then he said, "I'm not going to tell you how to feel or what to do, but you need to decide what you want, Ethan. Do you want answers? Or do you want to walk away and never look back? But don't sit in this middle ground for too long. It's only going to hurt more." His words hit me harder than I expected. I realized he was right. I couldn't keep torturing myself with unanswered questions. I had to face her, and I had to face the truth, no matter how painful it was. I don't remember what time it was when I finally gathered the courage to go downstairs to the lobby, but I knew that if I didn't do this now, I never would. I couldn't sit around waiting for her to return to the hotel, unsure of how to react. I needed to see her face to face. When I arrived at the door of the room she was staying in, my hand shook as I knocked. I had no idea what to expect when she opened the door. Would she be surprised? Would she deny everything? I didn't know. What I did know was that I was done pretending. The lies were over. I wanted answers. After a few moments, the door opened. Rachel stood in front of me, looking just as surprised as I felt. Her eyes widened when she saw me, and for a brief second, I thought I saw a flash of guilt cross her face. "Ethan," she said, her voice shaky. "What are you doing here? You weren't supposed to be here until tomorrow." "I followed you, Lauren," I said, my voice cold. "I know everything. I saw you with him. I saw you kiss him in the hallway. I saw the pictures. I know you've been lying to me for months. Her face went pale, and she stepped back, her hands shaking. Ethan, No, I interrupted, holding up my hand. Don't make excuses. I've seen enough. You've been seeing him behind my back, and I can't believe you've been lying to me this whole time. She looked down, tears filling her eyes. I never meant for it to get this far, she whispered. It was a mistake, Ethan. I was lonely, and I didn't know how to fix things with us. I never thought it would get out of control. I couldn't even look at her. My whole body was numb, and all I could feel was the heartbreak. This wasn't just a mistake. This wasn't a one-time thing. She had been emotionally invested in someone else for months. My mind raced, trying to process how she could have kept this from me. How long had she been lying? What else had she kept from me? I can't believe this, I said, my voice breaking. How could you do this to me? After everything we've been through? After everything I've given you? I thought you loved me. I do love you, Ethan. I swear I do, she cried, stepping closer to me. But I was confused. We'd been drifting apart, and I didn't know how to reach you. He listened to me. He cared about me when I felt like you didn't. But it was wrong. I see that now. I never should have done this. I closed my eyes, trying to keep my composure, but it was impossible. The pain was overwhelming. The person I had trusted with my heart, the person I had shared my life with, had been lying to me, had been seeing someone else. And I had no idea. I don't know if I can forgive you for this, I said quietly. I don't know if I can ever trust you again. Her face crumpled, and she reached out to me, but I stepped back. Please, Ethan, please don't leave me. I'll do anything to fix this. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know if I could even stay in the same room with her after what I had just learned. This wasn't something I could just forget. This wasn't something I could simply brush off. The silence between Lauren and me was suffocating. After our confrontation, she had begged for me to stay, to talk, but I didn't know what to say. I was still reeling from everything I had just learned. Part of me wanted to leave immediately, to just walk away from it all and not look back. But another part of me, maybe the part that still loved her, wanted to hear her out, to understand how we had gotten here. Ethan, please, she said through her tears, her voice breaking. I never wanted to hurt you. I know I've made a huge mistake. Please, just let me explain more. Please don't walk away from me. I stood there, motionless, trying to hold myself together. My head was spinning with emotions I couldn't control. The betrayal I felt was overwhelming, but there was a small part of me that wanted to believe her when she said it was a mistake. I knew it was wrong, that I shouldn't even entertain the idea of forgiving her. But the reality of it all, the years we'd spent together, the life we'd built, made it impossible to walk away without understanding what happened. You've hurt me more than I can explain, I said, my voice low and steady, trying to keep the anger from taking over. I don't know if I can even look at you the same way after this. I don't know if I can ever trust you again. How do I move past this? How do I forget everything I just saw? Lauren wiped her eyes and took a step forward, her hands shaking. I don't expect you to forget, Ethan. I don't. I know what I did was unforgivable. But I want you to understand that it wasn't about him. It was about me, feeling neglected and unsure of what to do. He was there, and I made the worst decision of my life. I don't want to hear about how he was there, I said, the frustration in my voice rising. You should have come to me, Lauren. You should have come to your husband, not him. Why didn't you talk to me? Her face contorted with guilt, and she shook her head. I don't know. I was so scared, Ethan. I felt like you didn't see me anymore. I felt invisible, and I didn't know how to fix it. It wasn't supposed to get this far. I swear, I never meant to hurt you. Then why did you keep it going? I asked, feeling my heart break all over again. Why didn't you stop? I don't have a good answer, she whispered. I wish I could tell you I ended it earlier, but I didn't. I was selfish, and I didn't think about how it would affect you. But I do love you, Ethan. I always have. I'm so sorry. I sat down on the bed, running my hands through my hair. My head was pounding, and my emotions were all over the place. Could I really forgive her? Could I trust her again? Every part of me was telling me to leave, to walk away, and never look back. But another part, the part that still cared for her, was telling me that maybe, just maybe, we could rebuild this. Maybe we could work through this pain and come out stronger on the other side. I spent the next several hours thinking, trying to process everything. Lauren had left the room, giving me space, but the weight of what had happened was still heavy on my chest. I knew I couldn't just let this go. I couldn't keep pretending like I didn't see the truth. I had to decide if I wanted to fight for us or if I was done. Lauren came back into the room, her eyes red from crying. She was still visibly shaken, but I could tell she was desperate to fix things. I could see it in her eyes, the sincerity, the guilt, the fear of losing me. But I was still so torn. I don't know if I can forgive you, Lauren, I said, my voice raw. I don't know if I can go back to being the person I was before. Everything feels different now. I understand, she said quietly, sitting down next to me. I don't expect you to forgive me overnight. I know I've broken your trust, and I can't fix that. But I'm asking you for a chance, Ethan. A real chance to prove that I can be the person you deserve. I know I've messed up. I don't want to lose you. I looked at her, my heart heavy. Could I give her that chance? Could I find it in myself to move past the betrayal and rebuild what we had? Or was it too late? I thought about our years together, the good times, the laughter, the love. And yet, I also thought about the lies, the deceit, the heartbreak I was feeling now. I need time, I finally said, feeling like a weight had been lifted just by acknowledging the truth. I don't know if I can ever forgive you fully, but I'm not ready to walk away just yet. I need space to think, to process everything. But I can't promise anything, Lauren. I need you to understand that. She nodded, her face filled with both relief and sadness. I understand. And I'll give you whatever time you need. I don't want to pressure you. But I will do whatever it takes to prove that I can be trustworthy again. I'll do the work, Ethan. I'll work on myself, and I'll work on us. I'll show you every day that I'm committed to fixing this. I don't know if that will be enough, I said quietly, feeling the uncertainty gnaw at me. But I'm willing to try. I just need time. I didn't know where we were going from here. I didn't know if we could truly recover from what had happened, or if we were too broken to ever be the same. But I did know that I wasn't ready to give up on us entirely, not yet. Maybe, with time, we could rebuild. Maybe we couldn't. But either way, I had to take that first step. It's been a few days since the confrontation, and I'm still processing everything. Lauren and I haven't spoken much since I told her I needed time. She's been respectful of the space I asked for, but I can see it's taking its toll on her. I can see the guilt written on her face whenever she looks at me, and I know she's desperate for things to go back to normal. But right now, nothing feels normal. I've been trying to focus on myself, getting through each day, and not letting the weight of the situation drag me down completely. Work has been a distraction, but even then, my mind keeps wandering back to everything that's happened. Every time I look at Lauren, I'm reminded of the betrayal, of the fact that the woman I trusted the most has been lying to me. It's hard to just ignore that. We've had a few brief conversations in passing, mostly about logistics, where things go with our schedules, what needs to be done around the house. But there's an unspoken tension between us. I can't stop thinking about the other man, about how she looked with him, how she kissed him. I can't get that image out of my head. I've been asking myself a lot of questions. Is this the end of our marriage? Can I really move past what happened? Can trust ever be rebuilt? Some days, I'm convinced that we'll never get past this, that the damage is too deep. I think about how we've always been so close, and then I think about the lies, the emotional affair she had, the intimacy she shared with someone else. It feels like I don't even know who she is anymore. I'm afraid to make a decision too quickly, but the uncertainty is slowly eating away at me. I find myself asking, can I live with this doubt hanging over me for the rest of my life? There have been moments when I've thought about ending it, just walking away and never looking back. But then I think about the good times we've had, the memories we've made together. And I wonder if I'm being too hasty. Maybe I'm just hurt, and with time, I'll heal. Maybe this is just a bump in the road, and we'll come out the other side stronger. Or maybe this is the point where we part ways for good. Lauren hasn't given up. I know that. She's tried to show me that she's serious about making things right. She's been transparent, open with her phone, with her whereabouts. She's even agreed to therapy, both individually and as a couple. But I can't help but wonder, what's the real reason she's doing this? Is it because she loves me, or is it because she's afraid of losing everything? I decided that we needed to talk again. I couldn't keep pretending like I had everything figured out. I needed to hear her out one more time, to see if there was still something between us worth saving. If we were going to rebuild, I needed to know that we were both on the same page, that we were both willing to do the hard work. Lauren, I said one evening, after a long day at work. She was sitting on the couch, her eyes a little red from crying. We need to talk. She looked up at me, her eyes full of hope, but I could see the hesitation there. She was waiting for me to say something, anything, that would give her an indication of what I was thinking. I don't know what to do, Ethan, she whispered. I don't know how to fix this, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I just need you to give me a chance. I don't know if I can, Lauren, I said, my voice steady but filled with uncertainty. I don't know if I can ever trust you the way I did before. But I also know that I'm not ready to just throw this away. I don't want to live with regrets. But you have to understand, this is going to take time. I need to feel like I can trust you again. And I need you to prove it to me. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. I know. I understand. I'll prove it to you. I'll do anything to show you that I can be the person you need me to be. I won't give up on us. I looked at her, and for a moment, I saw a glimpse of the woman I fell in love with, the woman who was vulnerable, remorseful, and willing to make things right. But then, in the back of my mind, the doubts crept in again. Can I really do this? Can I rebuild trust after everything that's happened? I didn't have the answer. But at that moment, I made a decision. I wasn't going to make any rash decisions. I was going to give myself the space I needed to process, and I was going to see if Lauren could really do the work. I wasn't ready to forgive her yet, but I was willing to take the first step toward healing. We both had to work for it. It's been a few weeks since that conversation, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around everything. Lauren has been doing everything she can to show me she's committed to rebuilding trust. She's been transparent with her phone, with her whereabouts, and she even suggested we go to therapy together. I'll admit, I'm not sure what to expect from therapy. It's not something I ever thought we'd need, but I've realized that we're both trying to work through this in the best way possible. We've been going to separate therapy sessions, and Lauren's been working hard on her own issues, too. I'm trying to focus on myself, on healing, but there are days when I still feel like I'm standing on the edge, unsure whether I should take the leap or turn back. The pain of the betrayal is still fresh, and even though Lauren is trying, the scar tissue left behind is thick. It's not something that will heal quickly. Some days feel better than others. I'll wake up and feel optimistic, thinking that maybe this could work, that maybe I can trust her again. But then, out of nowhere, something small will trigger my anxiety. A random text message. A change in her routine. And just like that, all of the progress we've made in a day feels like it's undone. I know that's part of the healing process, but it doesn't make it any easier. I've had nights where I can't sleep, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything in my mind. Lauren has been patient with me, which is something I didn't expect. There are times when she looks at me with this raw vulnerability, almost like she's waiting for me to give her an answer. I can see how deeply she regrets what she did, and I can see that she's trying to be a better partner. But as much as I want to believe her, the fear is always there. Can I really trust her again? Can we ever go back to what we were? Or is this just the beginning of a new version of our relationship? I still have so many questions. Why did she let it get this far? Was it just about feeling neglected, or was there something more? She tells me that she never wanted to hurt me and that her affair was a mistake, an emotional escape from something she felt was missing in our relationship. But I can't help but wonder, if she loved me, why didn't she come to me sooner? Why didn't she talk to me about how she was feeling instead of turning to someone else for validation? It's hard for me to stop myself from overthinking. I can't help but question her every move. Is she really being transparent? Or is she just saying the right things to keep me from leaving? It's exhausting. I feel like I'm constantly on edge, waiting for the other shoe to drop. The fear of being hurt again is something I can't just shut off. But then, there are moments, small moments, when I see the woman I married. When she smiles at me in a way that makes me remember why I fell in love with her. There are times when we laugh together like we used to, and for a second, I forget about everything that's happened. In those moments, I feel like maybe, just maybe, there's hope. But it's always followed by doubt. Can I fully trust her again? Is it worth the risk? Yesterday, Lauren and I sat down and had another long conversation. We talked about what we both need from each other moving forward. I told her that I needed time to process, that I couldn't just forgive her overnight. She agreed and promised that she would give me the space I need. I told her that I needed to feel emotionally secure again, that I needed to see a future where I wasn't constantly questioning her. I understand, Ethan, she said, looking at me with that same sadness in her eyes. I know I can't just fix this in a day, but I promise I will keep showing you that I can be the woman you need. I'll show you that I'm committed to doing whatever it takes to make things right. I believe her, but that doesn't mean I'm ready to fully let go of my doubts. I know that this journey is long and hard, and there will be days when we question everything. But I'm trying to focus on the small progress, on the days when we talk openly and honestly about how we're feeling. Every day is a step forward, and that's all I can ask for right now. We agreed to take things one day at a time. We're not rushing back into anything. We're not pretending like everything is fine. But I can see that we're both trying, and for now, that's enough. The past few weeks have been a blur. I've been trying to move forward, trying to focus on the small victories, but the doubt still lingers. Lauren has continued to work on herself, and I can see that she's trying to make things right. She's been more attentive, more communicative, and I have to give her credit for the effort she's putting in. But there's still a part of me that wonders if this is just temporary, if we're just going through the motions until the next issue arises. One thing I've come to realize is that trust isn't just something you rebuild overnight. It's a slow, fragile process. I've been testing the waters, seeing if Lauren really has changed, but I still can't help but feel like I'm living on a tightrope. I don't know if I can ever fully trust her again. And honestly, that scares me more than anything. We've been seeing a marriage counselor for the past couple of weeks. It's been a mixed bag. There are days when I feel like we're making progress, when we're really connecting and having deep conversations about our relationship. Other days, it feels like we're talking in circles. I know Lauren is doing her best, but it's hard for me to just be in the moment and not think about the betrayal. Every time I look at her, there's this weight in my chest, this nagging fear that I'll never feel the same again. There are moments when things feel almost normal between us. We go out for dinner, we talk, we laugh like we used to. And in those moments, I start to forget. I start to let my guard down, and I begin to think that maybe, just maybe, things can go back to how they were before. But then, out of nowhere, something will remind me of what happened. It might be a passing glance, a late-night text, or just the feeling of being lied to for so long. And in those moments, the anger and hurt come rushing back. I don't know if this is something I'll ever fully get over. I don't know if I can ever look at Lauren the same way again, knowing that she betrayed me. But I do know that I'm trying. I'm trying to rebuild, to heal, and to figure out what's best for me and for us. Lauren's been doing everything she can to prove that she's committed to making things work. She's been more open, she's given me space when I've needed it, and she's been patient with me as I struggle to heal. But there are times when I feel like we're stuck in the past, constantly trying to fix something that can't be fixed. And the truth is, I'm scared that we'll never get back to what we were. Last night, we had another breakthrough. It wasn't anything monumental, but it felt significant. We were sitting together on the couch, just talking about our day. There was no tension, no fear. It was just us, being present. And for the first time in weeks, I felt like maybe we could get through this. Maybe we could build a new foundation together. Lauren looked at me, her eyes soft. "Ethan, I know I've hurt you, and I don't expect you to forgive me overnight. But I'm not going anywhere. I'll keep doing the work, and I'll keep showing you that I'm serious about fixing this. I love you, and I know I've broken your trust, but I'm committed to us. I'm committed to you." In that moment, I could see how much she meant it. I could see the sincerity in her eyes, and for a brief moment, I believed her. Maybe we could do this. Maybe we could rebuild, piece by piece, and create something stronger than before. But even as I thought that, a voice in the back of my mind whispered, "Can you really forgive her? Can you ever trust her again?" And the truth is, I don't know. I'm not sure if I'll ever feel the same way I did before. But I'm not ready to give up yet. I'm still trying to figure out what the future holds for us. And while I don't have all the answers, I'm willing to give it a chance. I've come to realize that healing isn't about rushing toward an ideal future where everything is perfect again. It's about accepting that there will be difficult days, moments of doubt, and the constant reminder of what happened. I'm not going to pretend like everything is fine, because it's not. But I'm also not going to give up on the possibility of healing, of moving forward. Lauren and I are still figuring things out, still learning how to trust each other again. The path ahead is unclear, but for the first time, I feel like I'm not walking it alone. We're both in this together, doing the work. And while it's painful, it's also hopeful. We don't know what the future holds, but for now, we're taking it one day at a time. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. It's been a few more weeks since that breakthrough moment between Lauren and me, and I won't lie. It's been a roller coaster. There have been good days and bad days, moments where I felt like we were finally healing, and others where I questioned everything. The truth is, the road to rebuilding trust is a long one, and I don't know if we'll ever fully get there. Some days I wake up and feel optimistic about our future. I see the changes Lauren is making. She's been more emotionally present, more communicative, and she's been putting in the effort to show me that she's committed to fixing this. I've started to let my guard down a little, allowing myself to believe that we might be able to rebuild what we lost. But then, on other days, I feel overwhelmed by the weight of the past. I still remember the pain of seeing her with him, the hurt that followed when I realized how deep the betrayal ran. I've been reflecting a lot on what I need, what we need. We've started doing things differently. I've told Lauren that I need more transparency, that I can't live in a constant state of uncertainty. She's agreed, and I can tell she's trying her best to respect my boundaries. But even with her efforts, I'm still left with a lot of questions. Can I really ever trust her again? Will I be able to fully forgive her for what she did? I don't know. I wish I had a clear answer, but I don't. I know we're both doing the work, but I also know that it's going to take a lot of time, and there's no guarantee that we'll come out the other side stronger. The uncertainty is overwhelming, but for now, I'm choosing to take it one day at a time. I had another conversation with Lauren last night. We were sitting in our living room, just the two of us, after a quiet dinner. It's the kind of conversation we've been having more and more often these days, about our progress, our struggles, and where we see ourselves going. I know things aren't perfect, Ethan, she said, looking at me with those familiar, tearful eyes. And I know I've hurt you in a way that I can't undo. But I need you to know that I am committed to this. I want to prove to you that I can be the woman you deserve. I don't want to lose you. I could see how sincere she was. I could see the pain in her eyes, and I could hear the desperation in her voice. She wasn't just saying the right words. She was showing me that she was committed. But the reality was, could I really forgive her? Could I trust her again? I don't know if I can ever fully trust you again, I said quietly, my voice heavy with the weight of the truth. And I don't know if things will ever be the same. But I'm still here. I'm still trying. I want to believe that we can rebuild. But it's going to take time. I can't promise you that things will go back to normal, Lauren. But I'm not ready to give up yet. Her face softened, and she reached out to take my hand. I don't want to rush you, she said softly. I'll be here, doing the work. I'll be patient, and I'll show you that I can be the woman you need. I love you, Ethan, and I'm not giving up on us. In that moment, I realized that I didn't have to have everything figured out right now. I didn't have to know if I would ever fully forgive her or if we would rebuild what we once had. What mattered was that we were both willing to put in the effort. What mattered was that, for the first time in a long time, we were facing this together. I still don't know what the future holds for us. There are days when I feel hopeful, and there are days when the weight of the past feels too heavy to bear. But I've made a decision. I'm not ready to walk away. I'm not ready to give up on the possibility of healing. We're taking it one day at a time, and that's all I can do right now. We may never go back to the way we were before, but I'm willing to see where this journey takes us. I'm willing to fight for us, even if it's hard, because maybe, just maybe, we can create something stronger from the ashes of our past.